Block underneath right foot, finding that triple S. Now we still can have the feet as far away as possible while we're in this asymmetrical bridge. You can start with your amount of weight just across the hips or across the pelvis. And we're gonna do our controlled lift and lower. Pressing into the feet, lift maybe just 1 or 2 inches, super low, and then lower down. Press into the feet, lift up, drawing those pelvic points in toward each other, lower down. Zippering the pubic bone up toward the belly button as you lift. All right, if you want more work for that left hamstring, you're gonna lift the left toes so just the left heel is on the ground, and we're in that heel dig position as we lift and lower. Holding that pelvis neutral, the low back long. Make sure you're staying low enough that the ribs don't thrust up toward the ceiling. All right, we're gonna switch sides. So the block is gonna come underneath your left foot. Adjust as needed. Start with both feet flat and then press into the feet. Stay low and then lower. So low bridge lifts, press into the feet, working the glutes and the hamstrings, making sure the rib cage doesn't lift or pop up toward the ceiling. You can add that heel dig position with the right foot by lifting the right toes. So your right heel is digging down, but the right toes are up. That adds more work for the right hamstring behind that right thigh. All right, lower down, move the weight aside. We're gonna come into a table or reverse table pose. So that is like a reverse quadruped coming onto the hands and the feet. We have an option to be here with no weight. You'll have the option to have a weight across the pelvis. I'll show our table lift. If this is not a good position or doesn't feel great, you can switch to our kneeling get up or our kneeling hip extension. Support yourself as needed, and then you'll work the lower body here. So either way, you can do this with or without a weight. Neutral pelvis. I'm going to show that table variation with a weight across the hips or across the pelvis. And you just place it right at the front of the hips like we do for bridge. Your range might be a little smaller, but we're adding that extra load for the glutes and the hamstrings. So your variation, you can be doing this table lift, you can be doing your kneeling get up. If you want to do a variation on a chair or a bench, sit to stand is a great option here. So you can continue to work the lower body without getting down to the ground. All right, you can take your weight off and we'll head to quadruped. So now we are going to come onto hands and knees. You can start with a quick cat-cow to just move the spine a little bit, arching and rounding the back. Now we're going to work our core with quadruped to plank. If you find that you're getting pretty good at this, it's feeling pretty easy, you can place a block onto your sacrum if you'd like. And that will really challenge the pelvis to stay still as we move from position to position. So we want to think about that broom taped behind our back as we step 1 foot at a time to plank, and then slide 1 knee at a time to quadruped. You can alternate stepping right foot back first and then left foot back, however you'd like to go about this. You could be going much quicker than I am. You could be going slower than I am. It's all about holding that spine and pelvis still as we step back to plank and then slide back in for quadruped. Try a couple more. take the block off and head to a quick child's pose or puppy pose, anything to get off your wrist. And take 2 breaths here where you really focus on breathing into the rib cage. All right, we're gonna head back to our quadruped. Have your block nearby. We're gonna step our right foot forward and land your left knee onto the block. 90-90, you can tuck those left toes under. We are gonna have our weights, maybe 2 lighter weights in each hand, but check that stack, ribs over pelvis, zippering the pubic bone up to the belly so the tailbone isn't lifting or overly tucking, but low back is long, left glute is firm. We're gonna grab our weights, whatever we typically use for upper body or shoulders, and we're gonna come to that externally rotated goal pose. So arms in front of the face, but we are going to externally rotate. So in this position, we're gonna hold the pelvis and the ribs still, lift and lower any amount. This might be such a small movement. Holding that external rotation. We're working those muscles around the shoulder blades. Really work to hold that stack of ribs over pelvis so that we don't arch the back when we lift the elbows or tuck the tailbone when we bring them down. So we really have to hold that stack, working the upper back. All right, you can put your weights down and head to quadruped. We are going to slide our right toes back into our bird dog or opposite arm position. But 2 ways you can use your block. You can use it under that left knee, which is what I'll do, so that both hands are on the ground. Your weight is going to be in your left hand. If you would rather use the block underneath the right hand, you can do that as well if your right shoulder or right wrist needs a little cushion as opposed to the knee. We're going to work on our row here. Keep the chest open. Lift that left elbow. Pull the weight up, but keep the elbow in. So narrow. We're just trying to hold left hip still. Right leg still. Right shoulder still. Tall order as we pull that weight up in the left hand. Keep zippering the pubic bone to the belly. Making sure the ribs aren't drooping down toward the ground. All right, put the weight down, head back to quadruped. Now we're gonna step our left foot forward for our 90-90. You can land your right knee to the block so you can tuck the toes under, give yourself a little bit more cushion. Feel that stack, ribs over pelvis, and then grab your lighter weights or whatever you use for upper body. We start with our goalpost in front of the face, and then we externally rotate. Hold that stack, lift and lower. Remember, this might be such a small range of motion, lifting and lowering. This is a lot of work for those upper back muscles, for the rib cage to stay in that stacked position, not thrusting or tipping. Keep that right glute firm. Feel your 2 pelvic points draw in toward each other. You can put your weights down as we head back to quadruped. This time we'll slide left toes back. And again, you can have that right knee on the block, or you can have your left hand on the block. Weight is in the right hand, and we'll work on that row. Like you're pulling a lawnmower. Chest stays open as we pull the weight up in the right hand. Pull that right elbow up. Keep the ribs from drooping down. Feel the pubic bone zipper up to the belly button. Neck is light and long. All right, head back to quadruped. You can take a quick child's pose or cat-cow. Maybe you want to get off the wrist for a moment. Good, let's step that right foot forward again. Land your left knee to the block for 90-90. Same starting position, we're just gonna need one weight. Ribs over pelvis, really feel that stack. We're gonna have right hand on the front ribs, weight in the left hand, shoulder press or overhead press. Shoulder flexion, reach the weight up any amount without arching the back. So that would be ribs popping forward, tailbone sticking out. That's why we're going to use that right hand on the front ribs. Make sure your ribs aren't lifting into the hands, but we're really holding that stack as we work the left shoulder, left arm. Breathe however you need to breathe. All right, head back to quadruped. We're going to move on to push-ups. So we have so many options. You can have block between knees or thighs. You could be in quadruped, chest open, elbows bend straight back, push-ups here. You can slide or shimmy the knees back into plank with the knees down. Push-ups here. Tuck the toes for plank. Push-ups here. Or elevate yourself if that's better on your couch or your chair. And you can do push-ups on an elevated surface. So wherever you are, if you're using the block, that exhale, little squeeze on the block is going to really help keep the bottom of the core active. Good, let's slide it in for quadruped, take the block out, step your left foot forward 90-90. We're going to place the block under that right knee. Feel that same stack, ribs over pelvis, left hand comes to the front ribs, weight in the right hand, shoulder flexion, reach the weight up without lifting the ribs or sticking that tailbone out behind you. Right glute is going to stay firm and active. Keep breathing. All right, you can put your weight down and head to quadruped. This time we'll head to down dog. Tuck the toes, lift up. Most of our weight is in the hands. We want to feel like the ribs are lifting up toward the body. You can pedal out the feet here if that feels nice. You can shrug the shoulders up and down, moving the scapula. All right, hands walk back toward the feet for a happy squat. Big bend in the knees. We're going to press the ground away and rise up. Okay, let's grab any amount of weight for our carry. You're going to hold the weight in one hand. Let's say we're holding it in our right hand first. We want to feel that same stack, ribs over pelvis, broom behind us. Walk, march, lunge, whatever you want to do to challenge yourself today. You can walk forward and back. You can do a slow march. Work on that controlled hip flexion without the tailbone tipping. Maybe you want to do a slow lunge forward, lunge walk. However much space you have, maybe you get 2 or 3 lunges in. Okay, so whatever you're doing, we're holding the weight in just the right hand. And then when you get to the front, we're gonna stay there. But you can put your weight down for a moment, grab your block, place it between ankles, knees, or thighs for hip hinges. So whatever placement you want to have it, we're going to, of course, think broom behind us, ribs over the pelvis. Your weight is just going to be in front of you, and we're going to hip hinge. Keep pressing into the big toes as we hinge. Instead of thinking knees forward, think butt back. Keep pressing into the big toes, spine long. Push the ground away, hug that block as you rise up. Any pace. Really think about that broom behind your back. So we're not moving from the back or the spine. We're moving from the hips. We're sending the hips back and folding in half at the hips. Maintain that push into the big toes. Make sure the ribs aren't drooping down toward the ground as you hinge. All right, put your weight down. Let's place the weight in just the left hand for our carry with the left hand. Again, you can walk forward and back. You can march and work on a slower balance. You can lunge walk forward and back. We want to hold ribs over pelvis and make sure that as we walk forward, we're not losing that neutral pelvis. Next time you get to the front of the mat, we'll stay there. And you can grab any amount of weight for a reverse lunge. So I'm going to hold one weight across the chest. Whatever amount of weight works for you, holding your stack. Invisible broom behind you. Let's step the right foot back. Tiny lunge, light in the knees, and then push forward. Step it back, reverse lunge, and then push off the back toes. So we're not really planting the foot down or staying for long. So work on that push off. Land softly and push off. Working the glutes. If you would like to add a little bit more work for the upper part of the posterior chain, the upper back, you can add a reach. Remember that as we reach, we don't want to lose our stack. So hold ribs over pelvis. Any pace, slower or faster, whatever works for you. All right, you can put that weight down and maybe grab two lighter weights, or again, whatever you typically use for shoulders or upper body. We're going to turn to either side of the mat. Externally rotate the hips for a squat and start with your weights at your shoulders. So we're going to pause in our squat, ribs over pelvis, draw those pelvic points in. We're going to do like a Y shape. So we're going to reach our arms up, but wider, and then bring it back in. Out like a Y or a V, and then back. So maybe our arms don't go all the way straight. Let's adjust and be wherever we need to not pop the ribs or tip the pelvis. You can add your straighten and bend while we do this, if you'd like to add more work for the lower body. Breathe however you need to breathe. Hold that stack, ribs over pelvis. Push into the feet. All right, let's put those weights down. Turn it back to the front. We're going to do that reverse lunge with the left foot back. One weight across the chest. Hold your stack. Left foot lands lightly, and then push off right away. Left foot comes back, lands lightly, push off the big toe. Any pace, the lunge could be so teeny tiny. If you want, you can add that reach as you step together. All right, you can put that weight down. We're gonna turn to the side of the mat and this time parallel the feet for side lunges. We're gonna have a weight in one hand. So you can pick lighter weight, heavier weight. We are gonna switch hands. So get ready, we're gonna side lunge. If you're side lunging to the right, you're gonna hold the weight in the left hand. And then just pause. Make sure the extra weight is not making you arch the back. And then switch hands, side lunge to the left. Switch hands, so start slower, especially if you're with a heavier weight, and make sure that everything is the same. Do we have that invisible broom behind us? We're not feeling clicky or pinchy in the hips, but we're really pushing into the big toes and sending the butt back. Making sure the front ribs aren't drooping down toward the ground. All right, we're going to turn to the front of the mat. Lock between your ankles. You can have lighter weights or again, whatever you use for upper body. We're gonna start, whatever width of the block between the ankles. Now you have option to do a goalpost open or reverse fly. Either way, you don't wanna come into this position. Okay, so hold your stack. You're gonna not do your arms until the heels land down. So we're not doing that challenging arm part on the balance. We're lifting, lowering, and then adding the arms. So same thing if you're doing reverse fly. Not till the heels land. Push into the toes. Make sure the ribs don't pop or thrust forward. Hug the block on the way down so that you can land with control. Two more. All right, let's put those weights down. We've got one more standing movement. We're gonna come to our split stance hinge. I love putting a block between my inner thighs, but it's totally optional. If you like to go a little heavier for legs, you can go a little heavier. Stick with whatever works for you. Our split stance hinge, we're gonna start with our right toes tapped back, super light. So our stance is teeny tiny, and I have barely any weight on those right toes. Put your left hand in your invisible back pocket. We're gonna hold our weight in the right hand and reach it over toward that left leg. We're gonna think left butt back. Butt back, butt back, butt back. Stay super light in the right toes. You'll probably feel when it's time to stop if you just feel like the glutes can't do it anymore or the back's gonna round or arch. From there, push into that front foot and come back up. Send that left butt back. Light, light, light in those right toes. And then push off from that front foot. So much work for the left glutes. They're getting lengthened and strengthened on the way down. And then they're contracting to get us back up. Stay light in the back foot. All right, let's take it out. Shake out that left hip and glute a little bit, and then we're going to switch sides. So we'll come to that same position, split stance hinge, left toes back this time. Your weight is going to be in your left hand, right hand on your back pocket area. Hinging like there's a broom behind you. Light in the left toes. Push into that front foot, rise up. So you might notice that one side feels so much harder. This is a really great movement to show which glute is a little bit stronger. Stay heavy in that front foot. Notice if you're rocking back onto that right heel, and stay heavier in the front of the foot. Couple more, any pace, light in those back toes. All right, you can take it out, shake anything out, and we're gonna head back to quadruped. So you can go back to hands and knees, cat, cow, or belly roll. Let's come into that cross knee quadruped, crossing the right knee behind the left leg. Now try not to wag your tailbone either side, but feel that the spine is long and neutral, and we're gonna try to send the tailbone back and then rock it forward. So this might be the tiniest movement, like you're being pulled straight back by your tailbone, and then rock forward. We're stretching the very back of that right hip joint. Most likely does not have a lot of movement available, so don't force it. Just slow your breath down. Make sure you're not clenching the jaw. All right, switch sides, cross that left knee behind the right. And then try not to wag the tailbone either way, but think spine long, like you're being pulled straight back behind you. And again, you might notice one side has a lot more movement. One side might feel a little bit tighter. You can come out of your stretch and head onto your back. Feel free to use the block underneath your head like a pillow. We're going to feel for that same neutral spine like we started. Skull, shoulder blades, and sacrum on the ground. You can cross that right foot over for figure four. Now, if you usually pick up that left foot, you can do a little sciatic nerve glide if that feels good. Let that left leg be relaxed and kind of floppy, and you're just going to straighten and bend any amount. We're not trying to strengthen in order to feel a muscular stretch. We're just bending and straightening like really floppy. We're just feeling or letting the sciatic nerve lengthen and then contract. So get some laxity and length. And then we'll switch. Hold your neutral spine, cross that left foot over. If it feels good to pick up that right foot, you can add that sciatic nerve glide, just any amount, bending and straightening. Nice and relaxed. Slow the breath down. Release it down. If it feels good, you can hug both knees in. Maybe take a little rock side to side or up and down. You could end with the legs up in the air or on a bench. You can lie down all the way. You can come into a seated position. Wherever you are, you can soften your gaze or close the eyes all the way. With each inhale, think about your breath expanding into the entire barrel of the rib cage, front, side, and back. Exhaling to feel any tension soften a little bit. Take a moment to thank yourself for your practice today. Sending one grateful thought out into the universe.